Okay, good morning, folks. I see some people are chomping at the bit already. That's good. This does me no good to do this and nobody's watching. Had like 2 sips of coffee, so hopefully that's enough for now. So let's see where we left off. Got these dark colored German vehicles. Can't say tanks, neither one of them's a tank. The Sturmgeschütz and the Panzersparwagen. That's what I always call them in squad leader. Not it. They always PSW. I'm like, what the hell is that? PSW and SPW for the half tracks. Okay, so they got this gloss coat that has changed the color, I think probably for the better. We're going to need to do some dry brushing on here. Not going to go crazy with it, but we will do that after it is after they're mounted on the stand. And I got two. It always seems like there's new challenges. I got 2 new challenges. Both of these are because these models are not very good for different reasons. This one's all wonkily put together. I tried to fix it, and it doesn't. If it sits straight on this side, then it comes up off the ground there. This one's not too bad, but this one's going to be a real challenge. And the tires touch on the ground there, but they don't touch on the other end. And it's riding on these 2 tires, and it's riding on the 2 middle ones here. So we're just going to, when it's time to glue this thing down, epoxy it down, we're going to do the best we can, and that's all we're going to be able to do, because the tires are literally separate pieces that you epoxy on the ground. This was put together a long time ago. So we put our fake little license plates on there, and the fake one on the front, it just has scribble scrabble on there. I wouldn't even do it if it wasn't so prominent. Yeah, it's riding on these 2 tires, and here it's riding on the middle too. Okay, well, we still have to dry brush one more color on here before we get to that, but anyhow, these little challenges make it, I don't know if interesting is the word, but it forces me not to get into analysis paralysis and actually get it done. And that's the kind of stuff that would have kept me from finishing something 20 years ago. I don't know what to do, and you just put it off and you have something else that's unfinished. I didn't come all this way to not finish this thing. So I didn't do this to not get stuff done. So we're going to get our US Field Drab color, which is our middle shade, and our temperate ground color. And let's find a brush that needs to be disrespected some, because unfortunately that's kind of what happens to these. Let's see, which one was I using for that? One of these. Might be this one right here. No, this is actually a pretty good one. And we're going to do a little shorter than normal painting session this morning because I got to go on a road trip. I don't have to go on a road trip. I choose to go on a road trip. Have to go on a road trip sounds like work. And we're just going to go over this. And the third color we will not apply until the vehicle's actually on here. And I wouldn't have started these other vehicles if, you know, these ones that we black based yesterday, if this method wasn't something that I've got to keep moving, I've got to keep something. I don't want to get to a stage where, well, I can't do anything else. I got to wait for this to dry. So my preference would be to finish what I started, not start a bunch of different things, but there's no way around that without sitting around time. Now, if I wasn't filming all this, then maybe it would be something like, yeah, let me go do something else. But right now, we got to keep moving. I could use a bigger brush for this, but this is working just fine. I don't see really any evidence of turret numbers on these heavy armored cars. I've looked and looked and looked and looked, and yeah, I've seen a couple of them that have them on there. But man, the vast stuff out there is that they don't have numbers on them. So we won't put any right now on. Even if I did, they'd be pretty small because I don't like them going over periscopes and stuff like that. I don't like decals going over periscopes on vehicles. It just doesn't look right. I mean, there's lots of photo evidence that they did do that, but there's lots of photo evidence of things that I don't do that just don't look right. So, just like I don't like it when they put a cross here over the exhaust because it's really uneven. It just doesn't look right. So we didn't do that. And they didn't do it on every vehicle. These are war game models, not something you're going to enter in an IPMS competition. Okay. I don't know how I ended up with not a paper towel over here, but an active paper towel. All right, so see, that's got to dry. So let's take a look at this. I know we're going to add some of the lighter color up. I don't think I'm going to add the brown on here. Let's do a couple things. First of all, we haven't added any of the track color to this. So let's grab a metallic color. I know people always used to use metallic colors for these, and then they use grays, and I'm old school, and I'm a fan of using metallic colors on metallic things. But the metallic's not the scale. There's lots of things that aren't the scale. I just like how it looks. Let's grab something that's rather small. already kind of, this should be fine. Or this one. I need you to get in the habit of putting it on the left side. Let's paint the edge of these teeth just a little bit. I don't want to go crazy in this stage. Like, there's no chipping on here. I don't, I'm not a big fan of that. That's a little too much for this. Somebody says, you don't put chipping on your tanks. Well, I also don't put, I don't make my soldiers have dirty pants either. You know, like stains from them kneeling. You can take things too far. And I just choose to not go there with that. Now, at some later point, I'm going to have to put some goop. I'm not going to cogitate it over it right now, but there's some of this mismolding on the actually white metal tracks, so we can do that after it's already based. Maybe I shouldn't have started with these vehicles that were like not so good, but if these look good, the ones that are actually decent models will look that much better. And of course, this is going to look that much better when it's based, and more importantly, when it is flat coated. And there's going to be weathering and stuff on there. Is there anything that needs to be... I've already done this to the gun barrel, but I don't think there's anything that needs to be on this one. I think we're done with that. This metallic. I miss when I didn't have to take my glasses on and off, where I could just each one less thing you gotta do. All right. This stuff dries pretty quick, so. Oh, it's not even touching here at all. Well, let's mark on here where it's going to be, and we can epoxy this thing down. And these are actually probably two vehicles that wouldn't need to be on stands, but just for consistency, I don't want the small vehicles on stands and the big ones not. They are playing pieces. So, and it also, I think, makes it look better from the standpoint that the colors that are in this dirt are going to get, it's going to feel like it's in the terrain. Make sure we got it kind of straight there. This could have stood to be on a wider stand, but I wanted to keep them kind of consistent. This is the same width stand as the Sherman. How wide are we going? Pretty wide. Let's come in here with, where is, no, not that one. Glasses on, glasses off, glasses on, glasses off, glasses on, glasses off, glasses on, glasses off. Whew! What's your exercise plan? Glasses on, glasses off. Here it is. Don't fall on the ground. It's the weekend. I don't need you to bend over. I'm pretty happy with doing it this way. The way it's sunken into the terrain a little bit. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Again, I can't see the line over here. Here it is. Let's score that. Stuff is almost the consistency of rubberized grits. Bet it doesn't taste as good as rubberized grits would. that sits like this, it's going to be close enough. We're going to go heavy with the epoxy. All right, let's do the one that I'm a little bit more worried about. Maybe worried is the wrong name for it. Let's get rid of the turret. Having a base on a vehicle increases the chance of actually grabbing it by the base and not the vehicle. But maybe not. That much more. Right in there. Right in there now. Can I even see those markings? We're just going to do that one there, because it may actually not ride in there. Okay, that's good. And there should be a marking there and one there. Let's get the epoxy out. Glasses off. Oh. It does help you focus a lot. But it's just like adding another step. It's kind of like, if you walk around with crutches, you focus a lot more on walking. But, yeah, everything else. Let's make sure we don't have any of this on our hands. Get that out of the way. We're not ready for that one. Okay, sit this flush here. It's going to be 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Let's go more towards the inside. Man, that fan's noisy this morning. Mid-October, it'll start getting cool sometimes. So we're getting ever closer to that day where I'm going to have to punch somebody in the nose for complaining it being too cold here in Florida. I wonder who it's going to be this year. I can't wait for some cooler weather. I swear I'm being careful and still not good enough. Well, it gives me too much trouble. We just won't put it on a stand. Maybe working on the shittiest vehicles first wasn't the right play. The shittiest miniatures first, should say. This one looks great. This is really not very good at all. I was so discouraged when I got it and I opened the package. I don't know, it was just a time period when you go to a show and you see something cool and you're like, oh, I don't want to come back from the show without anything in my hand. And then you get something like, man, I really shouldn't have bought that. But when I got this, the internet was still wasn't where it is now. So I didn't want to mail order something. That's like available right now. So I jumped on it. And there it sat for 20 years. Yeah, it's not even touching the other tires. All right, we're going to put something heavy on this one to hold it down a little bit. Let's see. Not those. We're going to paint them. What else is heavy other than this thing? Well, there's a thought. It's literally the heaviest thing here. All right. That's good for now. Let's get these out of the way and make forward progress while that dries. And there's stuff I don't mind doing afterwards. Like if I find out that the two Stug battalions are, one of them has an interesting history, I might go in and paint the emblem, but I can do that afterwards. All right. What's next on the list? The pair of Panzer III Fs. Now, these don't really have a spot that I can glue something to be able to pick them up. So I painted the stube without it being on something. So I think if I did that, I should be able to do it on these as well. So let's just take the first one. Yeah, because I can just grab it like this. I don't give a shit if it doesn't have any paint underneath here. All right, what color did we use overall? What paintbrush did we use? I want to say we did something like this one. Or maybe we used this one that's underneath here. Yeah. Well, regardless, we need to get rid of some of this clutter as I'm being encroached by my own hobby. So let's get rid of these things that we're not going to need. Yeah, we will. We're not going to need red. We're not going to need white. We're not going to need chocolate brown. We don't need that. We don't need that right now. With the X-Acto knife. Or these brushes. I look at people's work areas that are infinitely chaotic, and I wonder how the hell they get anything done. Because even mine can get out of control and distracting. And honestly, I can't stand it. It drives me crazy. It's kind of like a kindergarten class. Somebody's always making a noise or pulling you in a different direction. Okay, let's get this epoxy out of the way. All right, good. We've got some sanity now. All right, German gray. Should be this one. Yes, it is. That's a big old thing. So we've got these tanks that are base black. And we're just going to dry brush this color on. That'll give me a little bit of a pin wash effect left on them. And hopefully when we're done with these, we can go back and mess with these vehicles because I'd like to get them done before I quit for the morning. And we might as well get our other color out, which is Luftwaffe blue. This brush is ate up. Let's see if we'll do this one or we have to retire this thing early. I just figured there's no point in painting this evenly over the tank, which takes forever and could leave brush marks, just to do a pin wash, which also takes forever. And if you've seen my painting, you know, I'm not afraid of spending time on things, but man, I got a lot of things to paint. And I never really cut corners, so it's about time. It's about high time to cut corners. I don't really like where this is. I'm extremely right-hand dominant, and I don't want to carry that over to something else. I didn't glue anything to the Stug, and I don't remember getting any significant amount of paint on myself. So if I hold this by the running gear and I do scuff some of the paint off, it's going to be in the area where it would get the most scuffed off to begin with. So I think that worked out pretty well. It's heavy, and there's not, the logical place for it to go would be in the same hole that the turret goes through. So let's just forego it like we did the Stug. Yeah. I think so, this will change a little bit again when I put the flat coat on it. Change for the better. I think it'll lighten it up a little bit. Ah, pay attention. Over there, Luftwaffe blue. Not the end of the world, just no need for that yet. This is what we'll do with the Soviet tanks, except we'll probably paint them 3 at a time. Wow, I called them Soviet tanks. I didn't think I did that. I always call them Russians and Germans. I don't get the political part. The political component. This thing's getting trashed, something fierce. And this is a model that I ended up picking up from a estate sale, a Wargamers estate sale at the last convention, and it just happened to be the same model that I had of another Panzer III that I wasn't happy with. I ended up getting this Panzer III F. I'm pretty sure I got it from Brookhurst Hobbies. And I thought, oh, okay, well that's the 50mm version, and not realizing that the first batch of the Fs had the 37 in it. A 37mm gun tank for Barbarossa. Because I'm not doing anything before that. I'm not interested in doing the France 1940 stuff. I'm not sure if they had the Fs in France. Just not interested in anything earlier than that involves land combat. Just didn't go on long enough, or there's aesthetic problems I have with many of the nations that served. I don't like German tanks in Poland. They have the white crosses like it's the Swiss on the attack. Just doesn't look right. And too many tanks in France. Well, all the tanks in France, none of them have the little stowage bin like these that don't have it. So I find these tanks particularly ugly, but it is what it is. I have them. Just gonna have to move on. I have to supplement these with some Plastic Soldier Company 3Gs. They make a G. They make a G and an H in their things, but they can serve alongside of them. Man, everybody's super quiet this morning. You guys must have turned me on and I just put you to sleep. Well, you don't have to say anything, but you might have something that you want the conversation to go in a certain direction. Want to talk about something maybe that you're working on. Or maybe not. Okay, this brush has about had it. I need to get some water or something because I'm getting parched by this coffee. Be right back. I just noticed that I don't know why this camera defaults to being this dark. I adjust that every day and it goes back. What's this exposure offset button do? I'm not sure. We're going to leave it alone. I find it annoying that I can't show you exactly what I see. Ben Waddy, good morning. I'm glad someone's alive. Okay. Where's a good sign? Let's do the Panzer Gray on these two turrets. And then we'll go and try to finish these two guys up. What color do you guys have? That's kind of close. It's kind of close to what it looks like. do they make a? They need to make a chair that doesn't creak, and a phone cord, not for here but for work, that doesn't tangle up. I don't know why we can't have cordless phones at work. But every day at work, I'm untangling my damn phone. They make those phone detanglers, but then you get crackle in the phone conversation. You know what? We're done with you. The hell with you. Hey, Wolfman, how you doing? Wanted to save this for the top color, but we're gonna just jump in and do this now. I have plenty of brushes. There's no reason I need to be frugal with this. Tech Mania. Yeah, we're going to be Tech Mania for a while. I won't be doing any Ancients or Medievals for anytime soon. It doesn't mean I won't be doing them again. It just means that I got plenty of them right now for what I'm doing. I'm not in a hurry to paint any. It's not like they have to be in any videos. Actually, these guys will be in videos before any more Ancients or Medievals will be in videos for sure. When asked, the numberings for the Panzer tanks, you know how they decided those? I did, but I don't know about the armored car. I can't find any evidence on this particular armored car. So I'm not going to put it on there. And I'm not going to cogitate on it because I can put those afterwards. I'm going to have some kind of, and I may have a unit marking for the Stug. I haven't decided that yet. I'm going to take the opposite tack that I used to do. When I couldn't figure something out, it used to paralyze me and I couldn't get anything done. Now I'm the opposite. Now I'm like, screw it. Just power through it, and when you're done, you can figure out those little markings. All you got to do is hand paint them on there and then put a little bit of flat over it and done. So, but I can't find any evidence that it was common for the 8-wheeled armored cars of this style to have a numbering system on them. I may put something on there because the system that I use for gaming, it's important to designate which crew members are inside which vehicle, so when their turn comes up. So I'm probably going to put some kind of small number on it somehow so we can identify them. All right, we'll call that one a day on that. But the tanks definitely will have numbers on them. And I'm probably going to hand paint them. Because they got to be pretty small because I'm not painting them over the tank periscopes. It just looks wrong. I used to be a 1/35th scale modeler. I mean, I used to live and breathe World War II stuff. It's just been 20 years since I messed with it. I did read something this morning that I don't know if it's accurate or not, but the numbering colors they used, one battalion would have used one color, and another battalion would have used another one. Like, for instance, first battalion would have maybe red numbers with a white outline, and then the second battalion would have yellow numbers. And of course, you'd have the 3-digit numbering system, or 4-digit numbering system if you wanted to throw the enemy off, or maybe it was an SS unit, or maybe you had a lot more companies than 9. But those aren't hard and fast rules. They're just generalizations. There were more exceptions to it around every corner. It's funny that I've seen a lot of people use this scale for rapid fire or games that are, in my opinion, not very detailed. It's what I always thought was really strange about Warhammer. These guys, Warhammer is a pretty simple game, I think, from what I've gathered. I've never played it, but it seems like a pretty simple game. But these people are spending hours upon hours painting these figures for a very simple game. Whenever I paint German tank, I just put random number on the tank. 732, for example. You know, that's a good number. The Panzer IVs I have will probably be 4th companies. So they're either going to be 4 something something or 8 something something. Probably. I'm just brainstorming here. All right, I'm going to go and take... No, I'm not. I'm not going to go wash that out. All right, well, this doesn't really need to dry. This is dried now. This is what I want to mess with. Something small like this one. Why'd this one get hard? You know what? I just start throwing shit away. Brushes I come across that I'm never going to use. Ever. Alright, let's grab that. The darker of the two tones. Which is a US field drab here. I used to care about the little details like insignia these days. I'm happy to get it painted in a playable stage. Man, good morning to you. Well, it's not that early. Good for you, getting up. Screw sleeping. You don't get anything done sleeping. I do care about the tank insignia. I just don't want to commit that it have to be a certain division. That's all. I got to be careful with this. Because unlike what other people want to see, I don't necessarily want to see these that dirty. You need to be able to remember that they're gray. They're first and foremost a gray vehicle, not a brown vehicle. And this is the same color, it's the top coat on this, so... should blend in here nicely with the like what I've seen other people, everybody has their own interpretation. But what I dislike the most is dust effects. Because I went out of my way to do a pin wash type thing, right? So if you do dust effects, I basically dull down every pin washing thing that I did. So why did I even bother doing it? There's a saying that I have that I'm going to claim it as mine. I don't know if I'm the first person to ever say it, but I've never heard anyone say it. So in my world, I coined it. And it goes something like, just because you don't value my time doesn't mean I don't value my time. So, people in real life or whatever, they like to waste your time for whatever it is, making you wait for something or think your time is not important. Well, just because you're wasting my time doesn't mean I want to waste my own time. So, why go through all this trouble of doing a pin wash and then add some dust effects, which looks realistic, don't get me wrong, but you just undid everything you did. So, why did you bother doing it? And I think paint chipping falls into that as well. These are war game miniatures, first and foremost. I'm going to do some building. So just if I do paint chipping and all that on the vehicles, what am I going to have to do with a freaking building? Mold and, we got to get some things painted for a game. We're not going to make any forward progress if we're stuck on stuff like that. So, step number one of getting things painted, you don't want the painter to be discouraged. As soon as the painter gets discouraged, they stop producing, and that doesn't benefit anybody anything. So, not very heavy at all. We still have the lighter color to go on here, so we don't want to make it. I don't want the entire part of every vehicle brown, whether it's a Sherman or a, we still have the lighter color to go, so I don't want to put any more of that one in particular. Got this one guy who comes to my store constantly telling me which colors and insignia are wrong and then doesn't paint anything. Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't play games with you, because he sounds like he's probably a dick when it comes to playing games too. I don't mind pointing out what stuff is wrong, but I like to read my audience. If you're in an audience that doesn't really care, why am I even bringing this stuff up? And then there's things that might be correct that I'm not going to do because they don't seem right. The U.S. stars on Commonwealth vehicles in Northwest Europe. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do them. It doesn't look right. Sherman tanks used by the Russians. Just doesn't look right. There's several examples of stuff like that. It's just the only ones I can think of right this moment. Oh yeah, white crosses on German tanks in Poland. No. Call that guy a river counter. I don't mind the details look great, but you shouldn't criticize other gamers. Well, put your money where the mouth is. What somebody's stuff looks like makes a big difference. If somebody's like a brilliant painter, I had a guy that used to come into the hobby store that was like that many years ago. He didn't build anything, But he did talk about other kits, and all right, well, this Panzer IV is wrong, and you have to take this one and kit bash it with this other thing. But he never produced anything, and he wasn't nasty about it though. So my biggest problem with a scenario, something like that, with that type of a person, that is when you're talking about rolling cock dice. They'll want to re-roll dice when it doesn't suit them, or they want to move sloppily. We had this one guy that used to play in tournaments. He didn't play anymore. Well, I don't play either, so there you go. Oh man, but he used to just move his guys. However, but then when you were trying to be precise, he'd be like, "Oh, those guys moved too far." So that's the people that should be hung, drawn, and quartered. Dishonorable players. Dishonorable people suck. Dishonorable people suck. I'm not going to go really heavy with this on purpose. I want them to show that they're gray. A lot of people use dark gray for tires. I like using black because when you add this to it, it makes them gray anyways. If you start with gray, then it'll be too light of a gray. All right, now we can do the lighter color. Yikes. A big difference is going to be when we seal this with the color. We did a rapid fire game a decade ago, and they didn't put stars on U.S. tanks because they say they made easy targets for the air assaults. I wanted to do one of my Shermans in 2nd Armor Division with the black paint, but they didn't carry stars on the side. And I'm like, well, that just looks unfinished. I've only played Rapid Fire like one time, and it just seemed like it was a lot like Command Decision. So, and I've played a lot of Command Decision. It just doesn't scratch my itch. It's not enough in depth. Maybe I'm too anal retentive when it comes to World War II stuff. Oh well. Right now, the main emphasis on this is to get these guys painted. The gaming is only secondary. Okay, here's the old Iraqi sand. You love the hidden movement and Command Decision. That might be a version I haven't played. I've only played the original one, which is like the first war game I ever played in the late 80s. And the second edition, which I can't think came out in 91 or 92. That's the only ones I've played. I haven't played anything after that. I just don't like the infantry rules. They're very boring. They're like an afterthought. It's basically a tank game. So I don't like games that have infantry very abstract. I don't like games that have tanks very abstract. They're both important. But the only thing I can handle being abstract is like off-board artillery, because it's not even there. You don't even buy a miniature for it, right? So, all right, you can handle him being a little less detailed or what have you. And if you go light on this and you want to put more later, you can. If you go too heavy, you're screwed. So we're just going to go light on this. I'll put my glasses, I'll see where I'm at. It's good for now. And of course we got a couple of antennas that'll be on here. I watched a couple demos and I've played one game of Chain of Command, and I thought that game had a lot of potential. It's just too generic. It's like, it's D6. I'm not a fan of D6 for a game that's not abstract. And when you take casualties, just pick any guys. You know, as long as it's not a special figure. Well, man, everybody's got all my guys have names and stuff like that. They're different from each other. And take the fun out of it. Like, which guy did you hit? I want to know specifically which one. And I don't want to pick them. Oh, well. Oh, I guess I should put some of this on the ground, shouldn't I? On the screen, the Racky paint looks like I'm erasing the gray paint from the board. Oh yeah, I can see that. You're right. You're right. If only. Well, you'd only need one piece of cardboard, right? You just painting and erasing. Yeah, it sucks you guys can't see exactly what I'm seeing. There's no way around it. Not filming would make it more visible. Okay, I think that's about the right amount of groundwork. It's actually kind of liberating to do this instead of, well, I didn't really use any dry brushing other than this. So we're probably going to do a little test battle with these rules just to see how the armor penetration and damaging on the crew works. Maybe we'll pull out that BT5 I have and one of these Panzer IIIs, just something that's set up kind of equivalently. Maybe this armored car and the BA6, although the BA6 is a beast compared to this one. With the 45 millimeter gun is definitely a lot more damaging than this 20 millimeter autocannon, but that's one thing wargaming World War II. I always was, one of the things I enjoyed the most about watching Saving Private Ryan when it came out is that one scene in the battle of that, where they roll out that 20 millimeter, and it's an anti-aircraft gun, but it's still fed the same way these things are. And you get to see what that thing's like, you know, because it's magazine fed. Da, 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 da. Yep, that's what this thing is. Not firing individual 20 millimeter rounds. You're firing in bursts. And it's almost twice as big as a 50 caliber. And that's what it's for, light vehicles. And that's what I see war movies for, is to see the stuff that we paint in action. Now, that's what I watch them for. I don't watch them for any other reason. Let me step away from this thing and see what this looks like. Of course, we don't have little bits of grass and bushes yet, and we haven't coated this with a flat. That makes a huge difference. Huge. I think the armored car is spot on. I don't want any dust on the top. It's a plain piece. Yeah, it's gonna ruin all the stuff that I've done to it. Like I said, if I don't like it, when I'm done painting it flat, I'll add more to it. I'm gonna go ahead and put the flat on now before I do the bushes and shit. And I'm not gonna spray. I want a little bit more control than that. You know, all the effort I made to pick all this stuff out. I don't want to undo it. I mean, why did I bother doing it then in the first place? This is the color it was originally with all the resin bubbles and everything. I think it looks pretty damn good considering what the original is. All right. The only part of the process I don't really like is this material can have some chalky stuff to it, and if I'm not careful I could bring some of that onto the model. But man, this is nothing flattened stuff as much as this. Pull out one of the Shermans. And it's totally flat. Even so, I missed some spots here. Probably wouldn't hurt to have this more over. Going over it some more. All right, let's get a brush that we use only for this. I may use a new one. Let's just do that. I don't want to screw this up. I put a lot of effort to get to this point. Do I use magnets to secure turrets to the hull? No. That's a bit too much. I do use magnets to secure these guys to a carrying thing. That's a bit too much. I don't want to drill into it. I don't have those rare earth magnets. Nah, they'll be just fine. All right, let's mix this stuff up. And let's do the Stug first. I don't want to really add more steps in the process. There's already enough steps. Oh, really? That's interesting. I may need to punt. It doesn't do this with the 15mm figures. Seems like it's pulling some of the color off. I wouldn't have noticed that if I hadn't used a new brush. I don't think it's very much. Just need to be conscious of it. I tell you what, I'm going to punt on this. I really wish I still had that Model Master flat. Nothing coated like that. The sprays that I have now are now like more generic, like shittier branded stuff. See this, it changed the color again. Oh, let's leave this alone. Let's leave this alone. And let's see how this comes back this evening when it's dry. I just hate adding all these little details of stuff, and then when you get down to it, it's like, oh, okay, well, what happened to all those details and colors that I added? Oh, it's not visible anymore. Then why did I bother doing it? Yeah. Maybe we'll have to spray it. Shit. But not too thick so I don't crinkle it up. All right. I got another half hour in me before I need to start getting ready. I almost forgot a step. I was thinking I was going to do a dry brush. Igrax Earthshade, which I don't know if it makes that much of a difference, but I've been doing it, so I need to stay consistent. Well, you guys get to see all the mistakes and tribulations and, oh man, I wasn't expecting this kind of moments. Shit happens. It's too much trouble editing that stuff out. I don't care if I take some of this off by gripping it there. This is the part that's going to get dry brushed with the dirt and stuff. If anything, if any area is more resilient, it's going to be this one. Okay. Yeah, if I put magnets on the turrets, I got to drill the turret out, drill resin. It just takes too long. I got too many vehicles to do. Not all of them have a place that would work for it to be glued. I don't have any of the magnets. I have to order them. That's just a task too far. I like the concept of it. Oh, I didn't put it on the running gear. So somebody did that with vehicles for Gaslands. They could switch out the weapons. But pretty sure I'm not going to paint any Gasland vehicles. I did a few. They take forever. They turn out really happy. The rules are, again, another set of rules like DBA. You know, you're arguing about how many angels on the head of a pin. I'm pretty much done playing tournaments. And I haven't really had any bad experiences. I just hate trying to figure out what the hell the rules actually say. And then after the fact, somebody's like, oh, well, you played them wrong. Well, fuck you. We'll play however we want. I don't want to play stuff wrong, but man, stuff is just not written easy to understand the first time around. And I consider myself an above average intelligence person. That's not saying a whole lot. But, so it shouldn't be that complicated. And my heart's in the right place. I don't want to play them wrong on purpose. It's not like, let me play them wrong, see what I can get away with and beat these guys. I don't give a shit about winning. It's not that important. But it's really frustrating when you try to do things right and it ends up being not right. And I really haven't had many bad tournament experiences. Other than I'm tired of freaking running it all. You know, other people need to step up. Now, we'll have to leave this drying. I have to think about that. Just like I had to think about the turret numbers. I had to think about it and leave it overnight. Like, what should I do? Don't paint any on them right now. I have to think about this flat coat. We're definitely going to get the Stug where we need it to before we mess with the armored car. The armored car, I'm a lot prouder of how it turned out. There's just more parts to it, more angles. When the stuff is pretty flat, maybe I'm just overreacting. I just wasn't expecting any paint to come off the brush. That totally threw me off guard. I don't remember what I sealed and what I didn't. Oh, shit. Yeah, this looks like I've brushed this on. I think I'm still more comfortable doing this than just doing some spray that I know isn't going to get everywhere. And it's going to crinkle, or it could crinkle. I don't want to go through that again. That was a pain to fix. just going to be careful with it. Now, it could be one other thing. It could be, since I left a tiny little bit of black, that could be enamel, and because this is, it could be pulling some of that off. I don't know, but I don't think I want to switch to using an acrylic one because it doesn't seal as well. And the whole multiple coats thing is a pain in the ass. Yeah, like even this one here, there's some spots. Oh, this is the one that the turret doesn't come off? Got it. There's some spots here. By the tools, a little bit there, a little bit there. Still tiny little remnants of shiny. I should be able to come back here and clean that off and be good. There's not much, just a little here, a little there. All right, let's put this away. Oh, turrets. Of course. Let's not go over that. Let's see how that looks this evening after it's dried. I'm sure it'll be fine. Wasn't expecting to get that much of it. There's very little paint, but it's just like I was using this clear brush. I'm like, why is there black paint on here? Okay, that's still drying. What else do we have? This one's just going to be straight gray, the F1. The F2, I think I'm going to do some chocolate brown overlay. It's going to be pretty subtle. It's not going to be really bold, but it's going to be subtle. Interesting that one doesn't have, it's the same model, and this one doesn't have the headlights. Huh. Well, that's how they told me to put it together. I wish I'd made a couple of these with the crew exposed, but I didn't. It was, well, could always buy another one. Okay. I think I'm going to call it a morning. I could get some stuff ready, maybe see if I can get the gimbal working today and before I head out. But we will be back, I would suspect this evening. So we'll see where these two vehicles turned out, and we'll catch you guys next time.